be talking about Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker's masterpiece, Dracula, takes place in the year 1893. The beginning of the book takes place at Dracula's castle, which, in real life, is a nickname for Bran Castle. It got the nickname because it perfectly fits Bram Stoker's description of Dracula's castle in the book. This is because Bram Stoker used a description of Bran Castle that was available to him in order to write about Dracula's castle. Later in the book, the protagonists have to return to Dracula's castle. However, the majority of the book takes place in London. People still use letters and journals to communicate because there is not much technology available, the most advanced being the phonograph.
So the first character you'll be introduced to is Jonathan Harker, who at first is bright and curious. Later, as he realizes that Dracula has kidnapped him, he almost goes insane trying to escape. And then later, his hair literally turns gray from Dracula-induced stress. However, near the end of the book, he becomes braver and stronger as he tries to save his wife, Mina. The next character you meet is Mina Murray, Jonathan's soon-to-be wife. At first, she seems sweet and naive, but she's actually really hardcore and smart. After Mina leaves, the book introduces us to Lucy Westenra. Lucy is pretty enough to have 3 men to propose to her in one day, but she's rather weak, making her the first victim of Dracula. The suitor that Lucy decides to marry is named Arthur Holmwood. He's a brave man who, after Lucy dies, does everything he can to avenge her and kill Dracula. One of the suitors who failed to marry Lucy is named Quincy Morris. He has an extensive knowledge of slang and a history of past adventures, and even though he's usually really funny, can be serious when needed. Lucy's last suitor is a man named John Seward, who is very smart and serious. He likes to observe other people and runs an insane asylum. When in need of help, John Seward calls his old teacher Van Helsing up. Van Helsing is really smart and wise and plays the classic part of the wise old teacher. Dracula is the classic vampire, but he also has many other supernatural abilities, such as turning into a wolf, turning into a bat, and turning into mist.
Alright, from the beginning of Dracula, it started out with Jonathan going to Dracula's castle, where he was going to sell him an estate in London, but soon he realized he was being imprisoned by Dracula, as Dracula made his plan to go to England, London, so that he can spread his curse throughout all of London. And then back in London, it includes Mina, Seward, Quincy, and others, who are slowly realizing that something suspicious is going on, as Lucy got sicker and sicker and soon died. And so they soon realized that a vampire was among them, and Jonathan made his way back, and they came up with this huge plan to rid the world of Dracula. It ended with them traveling out to Transylvania, where they were chasing after Dracula to kill him. Alright, so in Dracula, the main conflict of it all is the protagonist against Dracula as he tries to spread his curse all throughout London, and they come up with new ways of trying to rid him of the world, such as going after each of his coffins so that he has no haven to go back to, and then also inevitably they chased him back to his castle, like I said. And then also, the main thing is that battle against superstition, like their internal ideas. They can't believe that this is actually a real thing in the world, and so they had to overcome that to be able to overcome Dracula.
Spiritual salvation is one of the most important things in almost everyone's lives, and this is especially true for the protagonists of Dracula, as they go to extreme lengths in order to achieve salvation for their own spirits and others. Therefore, it is safe to say that the main theme of Dracula is that people will go to great lengths in order to achieve salvation and avoid damnation. This can be proven as the protagonists of the book do all they can in order to achieve salvation for their loved ones, especially Lucy. Each of the protagonists loves Lucy with all of their hearts and in their own special ways, and when she gets turned into a vampire by Dracula, they don't want her to be condemned forever, as they know she will be if she continues to live on in her undead state. In fact, they end up killing her themselves in order to grant her peace in death and salvation in afterlife.